Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to FOL Justice Forum on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. As you may have heard, there's a pension law. We call that the Integration Pension Scheme. There was an amendment to that law by the Senate and sent to the lower house, that's the House of Representatives, unfortunately, that was rejected. But there was an outcry from the society against the law as if this was a new law. So I have called together some legal minds to discuss the pension law of Liberia. When was it established? What is it all about? Who is covered? What were the differences between the one proposed by the Senate and the current one? Or if we had a pension law at all? So with me to discuss that, I have Anthony James N. Jensen. He's the CEO and founder of the 2A Radio. Also, Anthony, Councillor Anthony Jensen, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Well, thank you so much, Danija and your team. We want to say it is a pleasant day, and we hope that we can add our voice to the discussion. Pension is very important. There can be no society that cannot cater to its citizens. So, to discuss pension means that we are discussing the well-being of those who age out of the workforce. So, to discuss this is important. I hope we can make some meaningful contribution.
Thank you so much. Let me welcome Councillor Frederick Jewe. Councillor Jewe, welcome to the show.
Dennis, thank you. I'm always happy to be here. For me, this is a very interesting topic to be discussed, and the legal analysis surrounding that, because it appears that looking at the law and those who benefit, this is one reason why Liberia is as backward as it is. We have no roads, we don't have running water, we don't have light. The hospitals are all in trouble because people finding way to legally criminalize making money in Liberia.
That's the biggest oxymoron I've ever heard. To legally to criminally legalize or legally criminalize. So that's good. So we want to welcome our viewers from across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia. And this is what we love to do when there is an issue that we all don't understand because we don't have the training in all the areas. So we try to find some people who devoted some time to learn about it, to study, and not just study, but to practice it, to understand. So there's this new thing that came about, and then people call me, they say, Dennis, you know what happened? They say the people pass a bill, and that bill say they will get pension even when they die, will go to their wife. When the wife die, will go to the children. So as long as they live, they're going to be on government salary. And guess what? If the people that are working get raised, they too will get raised. What is that all about? So there was a lot of confusion. And there were some people that tried to benefit from it also politically by throwing some political jobs. So let's talk about it. And I want to start from the very beginning. When you say the pension law, pension, what is this pension law? What is pension law all about? Let's start from there. Anthony Jensen, you want to go first?
Yeah, I can be first. The framers of Liberia did not make a mistake. If you read Article 34, L, not K, as stated in the Senate proposed law, it should be Article 34L, not 34K. So even the title of that law is wrong. And when the title is wrong, meaning the expression of one thing is the exclusion of another. So if you say Article 34K and 34K is saying something different than Article 34L that deals with pension. Now, Article 34L mandate the national legislature to address the issue of pension. But if you look in there, it says the national legislature shall pass a piece of law that deals with a pension for government officials and government employees on the basis of age and tenure. if you read Article 34L, it should be on the basis of age and tenure. So, from this provision of the law, it is expected that the national legislature would have passed a national pension scheme. Now, I'm emphasizing a national pension scheme, not what we are seeing around there. A national pension scheme would have been a piece of law that the National Social Security would have taken and applied to whatever Social Security benefit there should be for old age people or for whatever that would have been. A national pension scheme, the civil service agency would have picked up a piece of law and apply it in whatever sense for the regulatory purposes of why they were established. But what is being seen suggests to me that the national legislature has not taken their time to draft a piece of law that addresses or that would have addressed the issues concerning pension for those who were aged out and as per tenure. Now, my second concern there from them would be if the Constitution said there must be a pension scheme on the basis of age and tenure, can that be applied to the legislature? My opinion would be no. The national legislature, members of the legislature are elected on the basis of 6 years and 9 years. 9 years for the Senate on the basis of continuity. So if you are rejected at the polls, it's not an honorable retirement. So why should the government pay you? Let's assume you serve for 3, 4 terms or what have you. But yet your last term you went on the political field and you were rejected. Is that honorable retirement? In my view, no. Should the government pay you because you went for re-election and you were defeated? Dishonest. If you say yeah, they must be paid. So when you look at these things, when people come to national service, they should be selfless. They should be people who look at the common people. Now we will go into the law. If you see the very old law you were making mention of, there are a lot of issues in there.
Right.
When they talk about
Anthony Jensen will come to that. I just want to understand what this whole idea of pension is.
So,
and then they get a new name for non-contributory and all those kind of things. So
okay. So in closing, my opening comment is that this whole pension has a foundation in the Constitution of Liberia, and that should be from Article 34L, not 34A, not 34K, as the senator said.
I think the senators are right. It's 34K.
34K?
Yeah.
What does it say? Because the Constitution I'm reading here is saying something different.
Okay, look at that. I think 34K say to enact laws providing pension scheme for various categories of government officials and employees in accordance with age and tenure of service.
34K here says to me to establish various categories of criminal offenses and provide for the punishment thereof.
Maybe that's a traffic act.
Yeah, maybe got it dropped.
Maybe that's
okay. Anyway, that's fine. If and only if these are some of the issues, we should have a piece of constitution or a constitution that Liberia can rely on. So even if these things are all online, because I don't really have an original copy here, what I have here is downloaded copy from one of the reliable sites that we have. So that could be right. I mean, I don't argue for it, but that's what I have here. L is the one that addresses the issue of pension in my document. Say that again?
Maybe they will download it from Liberty.
No, that is
you can
but we can talk that later. I mean,
okay. And in the meantime, you can get this book, The Republic of Liberia, Foundational Words of Our Nation. It has the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, all those things called the foundational document. But that's besides.
Okay. So, but how much for that? How much for that?
It's on Amazon, and I have a copy here.
Who published that?
I did. My company did.
So I hope you didn't take the wrong constitution in there. We will have to research on those.
They have gone through thorough for editing. Let me go to Councillor Jewel on this whole concept of pension. And pension, what is it? And when they say non-contributory pension, it means that maybe you don't have to pay into it. So let's talk about pension as it regards as it relates to Liberia.
You know, the House of Representatives, the Senate, or the legislature the president, the vice president, the chief justice, and associate justices, and all top government officials understand pension, meaning that they should be the one to benefit. Not as Attorney Jason said, when you age out and by tenure, they set up the law with the hope that even if they are no longer in government, even if they are no longer on the face of this earth, for them, pension means that they and their family members, that's what I call legally criminalizing the law to get benefit. They believe that down to their children should benefit from whatsoever money they have set aside into the budget, so that when they leave office, as Attorney Jason said, that you are not eligible to receive pension if you went to contest in Grand Bassa County, where I'm from, and you lost. Let's say Councilor Joel was senator for Grand Bassa County and was there for about 2 different successive times, and the 4th time he lost. Should he get pension? Is that the law on pension doesn't go that way. It has to do with by tenure as well as people aging out, and for the benefit of the national, the people of Liberia, not just for senators, not just for representatives, not for the president of Liberia, former president of Liberia, speaker, deputy speaker, president pro tem. These guys just got together, and according to these guys, because they know how to write the budget to put money in for themselves when Liberia is perpetually undeveloped.
Right.
That's you cannot go and again you will see that if the associate justices, the chief justice, their pension, they will follow the old law and continue to get money from the people of Liberia when the country is bankrupt. When every budget that is written is only $200,000 placed in there for county development, no matter what the size of the county will be. So it's not a pension law. The idea of pension is to nationally impact and affect the people of Liberia. That's
Right.
it. You know, can so everyone who lose a Senate position will have money to be enjoying, like the former pro tem of the Senate from Bapolu County. He's still following this law. He still gets his benefit. Government also give him office space, give him money to take care of your wife and his chicken, the cow, everybody that live with him.
So what I'm understanding, pension. I'm in America. I'm used to people retiring, age 65 and above, and they retire.
Mhm.
So pension in Liberia, should it be by age or anybody who served? Let's say, as I was in government, I working, I served all the way until I got old and retired, I get pension. Or if I decide, like, I'm 40 years old, I'm 50 years old, I don't want to work again, I can retire, I can resign, and then get pension. Is that how it works in Liberia, or what really is the idea of pension in Liberia? How does it work?
Can you read Article 34, whether K or L? Can you read that provision? The answer is right in there. The only thing is the national legislature should define age, but it says on the basis of age and tenure, pension law should be created. All right? So if they should set the age limit and say that, look, at the age of 65, if you are working for government, you should be retired. That means you are no longer in the working class. But if you don't have age limit, a lawmaker who got to be a lawmaker at the age of 30 or 35 or 40, he reaches 50 something, he's still able to work, and you say his pension, even though he's honorably discharged on the electoral field, that's not what the law says. That's not what the Constitution calls for. So to answer your question, age is a factor, is one of the elements as expressed in the Constitution on the basis for which a pension law should be created.
Listen, let me add, the tenure portion could be more like referring to the president of Liberia, consistent with the constitution currently, can retire after going for 12 years. So you won the first 6 years, and you won the second 6 year, and at the end of that, you're no longer president. You may be 56, you may be 54, but by law, tenure, you now can retire because you will no longer qualify under the laws of Liberia to run again to be president. But and the Chief Justice, the law for the judiciary says that the judges and the associate justices and Chief Justice will retire at the age of 70 unless they have other cases that they are dealing with or still on their decks for them to be able to decide, but they will retire at the age of 70. And so those people, again, when you talk about age, the definition for age is in there for the justices and the judges. The tenure portion is the president no longer president. And if it were following the aspect of the Constitution, the fact that you are a Speaker of the House of Representatives, it's not a Speaker of the House of Representatives. It's not a position that the people of Liberia elected you to.
Right.
It's a position that your colleague elected you. So when you go back to Sano County and decide to run as senator, and you did not win, or as representative from Sano, if you're a speaker, and you did not win, should that constitute pension? No, that's not what the Constitution is talking about. The Constitution is referring specifically to if you remove the vice president, because the vice president can run to be president because he or she was not president, was just vice president. Mm. Or if the vice president is old enough, going to the age of 65, then the vice president can be retired from government services. And that vice president should enjoy the law that constitutes pension. But what the guys have done, what the Liberian leaders have done, the Senate as well as the House of Representatives, in absolute gangsterism, I'll call it. They decide to take the money from the people of Liberia and from the government, from Liberia, from development, because they continue to put money in that they can enjoy. Even when they leave, when they defeat them, Liberian government should continue to pay them, pay their wives when they die, pay their children when they die. What sense does that make? It makes no sense. Even they are not contributing. They are not paying 1 cent into what they call the pension scheme. Who here don't pay? When you get to be 65 in the United States, or when you get to be 65, you are eligible for pension, right? Social Security will give you money. We'll say, okay, when you retire at this age, this is the amount of money you pay. That's not money they're giving to you. It's money you've been paying within the past 40 quarters or 10 years. So money you've been paying the system is why you will start to reap. In Liberia, the government of Liberia and the officials of government, even though they're coming from villages that there are no roads. I was looking at, I think it was Bapulu. I saw the former finance minister was standing between the road leading from the capital city of Bapulu to Bumi and say, I will fix this road. But because money that should be able to develop the country is divided criminally divided by law amongst people who think that they are entitled to the money and not the country.
Councillor Jerry, I think about in Liberia after you served for some years, because I know this because teachers from my town were retired, they were pensioned, right? Because they taught for a certain number of years. So is there a law that says when you work with the government for this number of years, you need to retire automatically, or is it by age?
Again, the tenure portion will only impact like the president of Liberia, because he no longer can run, or she no longer can run to be president after 12 years. For the teachers, they follow the regular labor law that require that you can retire at the age after working for 25 years. So they are impacted by the civil service as well as the labor law, and they could retire at a certain age or ages when they get there.
Is that voluntary? Because I can be 25, I start teaching, after I turned 50. In fact, when I was teaching as a refugee teacher, I was not even 24. So after you did that for 25 years, at age 50, you can retire, or you'll be forced to retire.
But
Is that the law?
if you teaching for private institutions, they will have their own rule and ages, and 25 years will be something that they will respect.
But Councillor Joel, I think this is the issue, right? The Constitution has set the premise. And I don't know why Liberia cannot have a national pension scheme.
It should.
When you have a national pension scheme, that means you address all of those issues, the age of tenure, you look at the issue of president, chief justice, and all of it. Then you begin to look at what age can we set as called for by the Constitution. The issue of tenure, what is it can we say? So when you have a pension law, that should be a piece of document that you and I can pick up. Like the question is asking if there's issue of teachers. But it shouldn't be the labor ministry is setting some kind of a standard for pension, and you have the civil service agency setting another standard for pension, and you have the social security group setting another standard. You should have a national. That's my view. That's what I think the law is calling for. There must be a law on pension. So that mandate is not delegated to any of these agencies. It is a mandate to the national legislature to set a national pension scheme. And by that, the issues that is being raised now, we would have found answers in a piece of law that is called the National Pension Scheme. That's my view.
I'm not disputing what the Constitution said. I'm agreeing, but I'm saying to you that if you, in answering Dennis' question, if you were teaching for the Cali school in Grand Crew County, for example, and if there was a national pension law, not the one we have,
right,
then the teacher in those areas will be retired consistent with the national law.
Right. That's the point.
But because, and answering as to his question, because you could be teaching for St. Joseph Cali School in Sando County, and St. Joseph Cali School, by regulation, says that our teacher will retire after teaching for 25 years. They will retire you and pay you your benefit. But if you had a national pension law, which basically impacted all private sector as well as the national body, it would have been very much legal as the Constitution says. But there's one reason why the legislature and the government of Liberia have chosen not to follow the Constitution. Is because it is meant to benefit few people.
Right.
That's why that's the meaning. Even the consolidation that the Senate were trying to do, that they proposed to say is so good, better than the one that was before. There existed pension law. So whether the law was passed or not, are there still pension law that require that people who left the government as legislature, who were defeated as senators, who were defeated as a representative, who no longer work as a judge, should receive pension? Yeah. But this law is also receive pension because it's not meant for the national good. It's meant for few people that are selectively in power to be able to have that done. One thing I want to mention before I even let you drop the topic is that, look, you will notice that none of the quote-unquote top political leaders in Liberia who are running for power right now to be president of Liberia are not speaking about the budget. Are they fools to not speak about the budget? No, they are not. Are they acting in their own interest by keeping silent? Of course. Did they not know that there existed a pension law that said that even the president pro tem, when he died, his wife died, the children died, they should receive it? All of them. My colleague, Councilor Gonglo, is a good law legal practitioner. Are they speaking about it? No, they will not. Because it will become part of what it will take for a weird situation, take the weird government. Or when Mr. Weah came, he decided to create a budget that Ellen Johnson said he created before and increase the amount. That's it. The law they want to pass, if it had passed, It will just increase whatever amount that were containing in the old law. Maybe they will allow the chicken, the dog, the cat to be receiving pension.
Yeah. So who is managing this pension scheme? Like, because I see like this one say pension laws, non-contributory pension scheme, Republic of Liberia Civil Service Agency. So in this law, first of all, who is managing this whole pension thing, and who are the people covered? Does it cover? The part I read is like it cover everybody, right? Except that other people have to work for 35 years, other people have to work for only 2 years. So let's talk about who's managing this whole pension thing in Liberia. If you retire or if you pension, where do you go to process this? Is it a civil service? Is it NASCOP or where?
Well, I think as it is right now, the law you just reading were meant to be paid, were meant to affect certain class of people, not senators, not representatives, not the president of Liberia, not the vice president, not the chief justice, not the associate justices, not judges that retire. It is intentional because what you're asking would have been answered if the Liberian government and the House of Representatives and Senate followed that part of the Constitution to have a national pension law, not a selectively passed law to impact people who be in the Senate, to impact people who be in the House of Representatives, to impact people who being president and vice president, who being president pro tem, who being speaker, deputy speaker, and all those people. Do you hear? Are you hearing in there that a police officer who is the chief of patrol or on the street from between red light and Oro, do you hear his name in there? No. The name is these top people.
No, but it cover also police officer, military, but it's on a broad category.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the amount that contained, the reason why I say you don't hear it is because the amount that contained in a police officer retiring is nothing to zero. Compare the Speaker of the House will be getting $15,000 to take care of the people who are working for him when he retires, to a policeman what he will be getting when he retires.
That takes me to my next question, because this pension law that was, or the integrated pension scheme, this is not new, even though many Liberians acted, they were hearing this for the first time. So when was this whole pension law established? From what I see here, this one was revised June 2010. So walk me through a little history of this whole pension law. And I think the one established 2003, they call it, was it 2003? They call it Moses Black Pension Scheme or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know details about when this whole pension thing came into being?
Well, it looks like, and starting with Moses Black, it came on to Mr. Bryant, Julius Bryant, who, when he was interim president, passed the pension law that would impact almost the same thing we're looking at today. Was the kind of law that was passed, but the amount in there have been lower than what is in the current ones. Mind you, all what has been happening is that up to the 2010, up to the 2022 pension law we're talking about right now, the interest is basically to retire people who be in the Senate, be in the House of Representatives, the president, vice president, chief justice, associate justices, judges of the lower court, and so forth. So it is not, again, at no time had the government of Liberia meant to go to ensure that there becomes a national pension law impacting people. What I got problem with is that if you're not paying anything in the pension, why are you getting all the money out? Why is it? Is it you call it because of service? How about somebody who is a private lawyer who went to court every day until he turns 70? Should he be pension?
And what it says, non-contributory. You don't have to contribute anything.
Yeah. But which all of these people who are writing like that, including the Mrs. Salif, who are president, have worked in this country. And we all know that you don't get pension if you don't put anything inside. The one you will get will be very little. You will contribute to your pension. Even the 401k, you have to pay some money to it. Even if you're a teacher in the private school, in the government schools here, you also pay to your pension, to your retirement benefit. It's not that you can just one day get up and then you will begin to receive pension. As Attorney Jason said, why are senators who are defeated anticipating to get sanction? I mean, to get a pension because they think that even when they are defeated for doing bad job in the Senate, they should enjoy pension. The same with the House of Representatives. Why do they want to get that?
In fact, the whole idea about pension, all right, whether the Liberian government, want to take a best approach, in addressing the issue of pension, they need to understand that pension is about long-term saving. So you take certain percentage of your salary and it is applied, it is saved, and that money grows over time. While you keep paying that money grows over time. So when you reach that age limit set by law, you begin to enjoy your long-term saving. Now, for just as Councillor Joel said, these legislators, they have not set aside any amount of their lonesome, salaries or whatever, but they want to get pension, even if they are rejected at the polls. Now, for the national legislature, we want to say thanks to the House of Representatives on this matter. I think members of the House acted well, and their action has saved Liberia. The one thing I want to raise too, which maybe many persons will not be thinking about, is you say you consolidated all of the laws under this. Now this law has been rejected. Do you still have laws? If you brought all the other laws under one law, which you shouldn't have done, but you did that, you brought all the other pension law on this law and it's been rejected. So as it stands to me, I do not think there's any pension law in Liberia because these laws have been acted on. You shouldn't have done that. In fact, the Constitution, I think at the same Article 34, some provision in there says no law passed by these people should have more than one title. But you ignore all of that and brought all of these laws, you say consolidated laws. So you are consolidated all of these laws into this pension law. Now, this pension law has failed. So, in my understanding, by law, you do not have any pension law in Liberia any longer. All of those pension laws that came under this law, they've been defeated. So you do not have any pension law. So what happened next? This is why when people are, laws are not made because you want to certify certain conditions. And it's the law, this law came into being because of selfishness. And I like the way Joel put it. These people calculated it. It's not because they wanted to look at the whole issue of, wanting to develop or to pass a piece of law that addresses, pension in Liberia. They were thinking now elections next year. Many of them know very well they will not come back. So what do we do to protect ourselves? That's how the law came into being. So the law came to being, they have already put the law up and it's been defeated. So what is going to happen next? I mean, Liberia is just like a society. When you think about Liberia so much, you're wondering how this country is going to move forward. Because people who get to position, they're supposed to be selfless and act, and sometimes you see them doing the worst, the contrary. So pension, there's no pension law in Liberia, in my view, as we speak. Now, like Jay was saying, I was thinking about not Councillor, Alex Taylor, former speaker. Is he getting pension from the Liberian government?
Of course.
So you see that kind of a situation. It's been dishonest, and I don't know why people get into national service and want to be so dishonest because of money.
Right. So Councillor Anthony Joel, before you come in, Steve Watson said under the Liberian law, if you work for 25 years, the government will pension you no matter your age, except for lawmakers appointed and judges of the Supreme Court at 70 years. So what I'm saying is, if the government is doing this, so that means there exists a pension law that covers everybody. That's why the lawmakers are creating something that will cover themselves and the.
But that is wrong. I mean, this Steve Wilson or Watson. This are the problem we are discussing. And we hope that our lawmakers will begin to open their mind and be able to look at these issues. Because in actuality, the Constitution is calling for a national pension scheme. They said there must be a law that addresses pension. So if the Constitution has spoken, those people who thought that there would have been a country that maybe we will have a protem or as the Abachi, you would have Buffer Chimo becoming leaders, and you have the judge we are like or the current chief justice, you would have had these people coming into the picture. It's not for the judiciary to create their own pension scheme. There is no provision on the section in the Constitution. Go there and read. The section dealing with the judiciary, there is no call for the judiciary to establish a pension scheme for themselves. The only provision we have in it is what we are discussing. So the only authority to create pension is the legislature. Now, for they themselves to start thinking about themselves, that's what the problem is. If they want to be holistic, they will, in fact, there must be enough factual information. Laws should not be passed because you want to be savage, you address your own situation. Before you pass a piece of legislation, there's a need to call tax lawyers. There's a need to call people who have stake in these matters. And then when you have all of these basic information, then you carve a piece of law that Liberia can rely on even when you are dead and gone. That's what lawyers or lawmakers should be thinking about. Not to do something savagely because next day is election. I may not come back, so let me protect myself, let me protect my wife, let me protect my children. These are all not good for the country. Liberia is bad. Just a minute, Joel. I look at a bridge. I will publish that bridge. There's a bridge that I saw, and that bridge is like a death trap. All of the sandbars are all broken up. So I'm wondering what is happening on there. Liberians are not thinking, especially these lawmakers. We have friends in there. We don't talk because we hate people, but we talk because they need to listen. You will be leaving behind a country very soon. What kind of society, what kind of infrastructure are you leaving behind? Pension scheme that will address you, your wife, and your children? We don't think they should be doing this into the country.
Thank you, Councillor Joa. You can go, and then we can go into the law itself.
Yeah, I will say that until the 2003, not 2003, until the 2010 pension law that on our books somehow repealed, they still remain law. You see, I saw on Spoon Talk TV, there was Representative Akara Gray. He was on, and Attorney Yokloy was asking him, or she cited the assistant of the law. All Gray did was to confuse the whole discussion and say that even though the law is found on liberally, and Gray said that it was just a proposal. There was no pension law. He lied. At that level, he lied because there exists a current pension law. If there did not exist a pension law, the House of Representatives, the Senate rather, and the House would not have been attempting to amend that law. You can't amend anything that doesn't. You can't amend something that doesn't exist.
Right.
So their consolidation of the judiciary, what they were doing, the judiciary will prepare its own pension law to protect themselves.
I know, right?
The executive will prepare pension law to protect themselves. The president of Liberia will prepare pension law to protect himself and the vice president. Then nothing by the people who constitute. This is why the people who voting these people into power need to listen. Because they have no interest in you. They have no way to say you need light, you need water, your hospital need to work, your children need to go to school. Your children can run between the vehicles. As you get online and vote for these people that call themselves leaders who want to be leader tomorrow, they will increase the pension. Look at the president not the president pro tem. Look at the budget of the president pro tem. Look at the budget of the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs. The amount is increased every budgetary year. And yet there are a group of children walking the street, running between the cars, selling plastic water.
Joel, do you know the salary of the president, the speaker, and the pro tem?
I don't even know how much President Weah is making.
So that's another issue. You don't have a salary set, but you're taking 50%. 50% of what? Nobody knows that. We have not set salary.
It's known between them what is 50%. You know what is interesting is that As long as the 30,000 other money placed in the budget for the senators and the House of Representatives, they will look at the budget to pass and will not impact the Republic of Liberia. I am saying until the Liberian people kick those guys out of our Senate, kick them out of our House of Representatives, and put in people who will say roll from Monrovia to Sano County is a must. Roll from Sano County to Maryland County is a must. That the budget, the figure in the budget impact those counties that need development. That Liberia is connected by roads. Right. That our hospitals are functioning. Something will happen to you, you go to Liberia and you're sick, you will die there because there's no hospital that would be there to. If you don't have money, there will be no hospital that will be there to assist you.
Thank you. So let's go into the law, because what we want to establish here is this law was on the books already. Councillor, as you said, that's why they were amending it. So there is one called the Pension Law, Non-Contributory Pension Scheme, Republic of Liberia, Civil Service Agency, June 2010. So everything is in there. And what the Senate were trying to do, they say an act adopting an integrated pension and benefit scheme for certain categories, not all, of officials of the government of the Republic of Liberia, and to repeal and or amend certain portion of Title 19 Legislative Act, Title 12 Executive Law of Liberia, and Title 17 the Judicial Law. Just like you said, almost every group has their own pension. So here's the purpose. Whereas Article 34K of the 1986 Constitution of Liberia empowers the legislature to enact laws providing pension schemes for various categories of government official employees and in accordance to age and tenure of service. That's the Constitution. Whereas under current arrangement, pension information for the categories of officials covered by this act exists in fragments at different locations that creates disharmony and difficulties in accessing those information for decision making, and thus their integration under this act will promote the needed access and harmony and consolidation. That's their reason. So according to them, what they did in this new law, one of those changes is to the definition act, the defined act, annuity, government, what does gainfully employ mean? Honorably retire, what does legislative term mean? So these are some of the things. And then when we go into, let me give you an example. First, let me stop there and get your take. So I just want to give that background to let you know that, and let our audience know that the pension law already existed. What they attempted to do was to amend it. Okay. And I don't know what Anthony Jason, you were talking about, that the House of Representatives did something good by rejecting it.
They did nothing.
Right. No, I don't know what it did.
No, I think this bill was this amendment was passed by the Liberian Senate, right?
Yes.
And it went to the House of Representatives. Right. And my understanding is that the House of Representatives voted against this bill.
Right. They voted against it as if there was no pension law and they were doing us a favor.
No. What I'm saying to you now, we all need to understand this. Yeah. This law and the background that you just read, it means all of these laws were brought under this law to be repealed, and that this law could have existed as the pension law for Liberia. That's what the background you just read.
Yeah.
So if we are agreeing to that, and Liberia don't respect laws, that's one thing. Most Liberia, let me qualify it. So because of that, this law, the House of Representatives said, no, this thing is not fair to Liberians. We cannot be empowering ourselves while Liberia is that poor. So under that condition, whether they did it under any other means, but I think that was an honorable decision. And right. we need to hail them for that.
Okay, let me show you
the second.
Let me. So let's look at one thing that was in the old law and then the new law. So by new law, I mean the proposed bill.
Right.
So under 2010, here is the annuity for the national legislature. It says, any member of the national legislature who has been elected and has served as senator or representative, excluding the speaker, deputy speaker, and the president pro tempore, meaning they in different category, their own of the Liberian Senate, and who is not in any way gainfully employed by the government, shall upon honorable retirement from the legislature receive from government an annuity equal to 50% of the salary of the incumbent, now what they were making, legislature per annum. In addition, a former member of the legislature shall be provided a personal staff and special benefits for the remainder of his or her natural life. And the allowance allowed for this purpose shall not be less than 6,000 United States dollars per annum. And keep that United States business, just underline that because I'll come to it. I don't know why I was lost in United States. Then for the one that was proposed, here what it says, and you tell me the difference. The proposed one said, excluding the president pro tem, a person who has been elected a senator and who has served 12 years at the Senate, meaning one full elective term, and 3 years in any subsequent term, or who has served at least one term at the Senate and at least one term at the House of Representatives, and who has honorably retired to private life, and who is not in any way gainfully employed by government, shall receive from the government a pension annuity equal to 30% of his or her last highest gross salary earned as a senator per annum, paid in equal monthly installments. Additionally, if a member who has retired upon being vested and is after serving for 12 years as a senator is again elected for another term, he or she shall receive from government a pension annuity equal to 50% of his or her last gross salary earned as a legislature for the subsequent term upon retirement. You see the difference?
But go ahead.
I would think first and foremost, if we, there are some catchy phrases in these laws.
Yeah.
And for any reason for all the sit here, there are some catchy phrases that really work against them, assuming this was to be a law. All right? Because when you talk about honorable retirement, that can be defined, but the Supreme Court can define what is an honorable retirement.
But they define it themselves, Anthony Jensen.
And what is honorable retirement in that definition?
Because
there is a universal context of honorable retirement. Where?
They say F, honorable retire means an office holder relinquish said office peaceably.
Okay.
When his or her tenure or appointed expire.
Right.
Or leave office for other reasons such as ill health, resignation, etc. after having been vested.
Okay. So if you look at this definition very keenly,
right,
it does not fit. Most of them don't fit in here. Because if you go to election and you were defeated, this is not a peaceable retirement. It's not leaving office in a peaceful manner.
No, because you didn't relinquish office.
Let me come in there.
Yeah.
They got in this. They got etc. If you were to go to court and the etc. is determined or is defined, being defeated at the poll could be etc. So what it did, they in a clever and way wrote the law. They knew if it had passed. They didn't want to put in when you are defeated. Then the people cried about it. No, they say etc. So what is the etc.? Because it was specific as to what they talk about. They talk about the age, right? Leaving office peacefully, and other reasons such as ill health. They define those one. But the other one is
resignation.
Resignation.
And the obvious one they left it, which is when you are defeated.
Yeah, that's why they put into etc. So what I want to say about it is that all of these laws, and let me go back a little bit. As long as this law was never passed by both the House and the Senate, we return to the status quo ante, meaning that the laws that existed before that granted all the pension and the amounts in there, those laws are still good. So the House of Representatives did nothing honorable.
Yeah.
They only acted or started to act when the Liberian people started to learn from the press that all these guys are about to steal from you people again. That's when the deputy speaker himself started to say, the legislature don't do this, legislature don't do that. That's when the House of Representatives gathered with Gray, one of the I think he's his own executive, Akara Gray, begin to talk from one internet station to another internet station. The House would not allow this law to pass. But so what? Whether this law passes or not, the law that existed before will still benefit them when they retire.
Yeah.
So the Liberian people need to know that these guys are all fooling you. They are deceptive. Whether they created a harmonized portion of the pension law, they were basically saying to you, the law passes or not, we got something to still rest upon. Because until that law, the pension laws that now in pieces, bits and pieces here, until those laws are repealed, they become the law of the land, and the government of Liberia will give money to these people who are defeated at the poll.
Yeah.
So they still have a pension law, what they call pension law. They assess a law that they should receive it. My question, my concern is that not one political leader who running for position now say anything about this pension law. In fact, the last time I overheard the former vice president saying that they not pay me my pension, my money as per the pension law. What was he saying? He was saying that there exists a pension law that defines how I should get benefit. And my benefit cannot be $800. So is it in the interest of the people of Liberia? I would say no.
So is this why Charles Taylor was asking for his pension too?
Not only that, Charles Taylor sued. Charles Taylor filed a lawsuit at the ECOWAS court. Councilor Subawu and I think another one or two Liberian lawyers represented Mr. Taylor. I understand that Councilor Subawu then won that matter against the government of Liberia because there is a law that the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice interpreted and applied.
Let's look at one more provision in the 2010 law for former Speaker and House of Representatives. It says a former Speaker of the House. Let me make sure this is the the old one. A former Speaker of the House of Representatives who has honorably retired, there it goes again, to private life and who is not in any way gainfully employed by government shall receive from the government. Retired, there it goes again. Shall receive from the government a pension equal to 50% of the salary of the incumbent Speaker of the House of Representatives. In addition, a former Speaker shall be entitled to a personal staff and facilities for the remainder of his or her life. The allowance allowed for the purpose shall not be less than 15,000 US. This allowance shall commence as of the date of the death of the former Speaker. What is that?
Okay, so
let's go to the one that was proposed. It says, and then it's a little more, right? A Speaker of the House of Representatives who honorably retired to private life and who is not in any way gainfully employed by government shall receive from the government a pension annuity equal to 50% of his or her last higher gross salary earned as Speaker. So if you see the first one say they will get 50% of what the current guy is making. Then in the new proposed one, they say you get 50% of what you made while you were Speaker. Then it goes down. In addition, he or she shall be entitled to a personal staff. You still get your clerk and everybody, somebody to carry your water in the bathroom, and facilities
Jay, hello.
Yeah.
I want you to please do.
I think he froze.
Yeah, you froze. Facility for the remainder of his or her natural life, and the amount allowed for the purpose shall not be more than 25% of his or her annuity per annum, provided that he or she has served as Speaker for a minimum of 4 years as Speaker prior to his retirement. Additionally, he or she shall be entitled to police or other state security protection. I mean, why is
Mr. Jad, the thing is,
Mr. Jad, I wanted us to look at the introductory paragraph of the law, because there's something I think we are missing here, and that's what I differ with Councillor Jay. because this law seems to be repealing those other existing laws. Now, if this
But it
is
will never
true,
pass.
say that again.
But it will never pass.
Yeah, it was never passed.
Mhm.
So it means the law has been defeated. These laws, so if it was passed, when law go before the national legislature and is defeated, does it mean the previous law that was amended still in existence? No, it's not.
Well,
No,
they,
it
yeah,
should not be in existence. It means the law has been defeated. The
as
consolidated law, this law consolidated all of these laws for
so
purposes that they were bad. That's the reason why this law came into being. So
so
if all of the consolidated law came before the legislature and it's been defeated, means those laws have been repealed. Because that's what I wanted to go. I don't want us to be familiar with the mindset that those laws still exist.
They
Because
do.
those
you don't repeal law by you. If the law can only be repealed if the Consolidated Pension Act had passed and had passed the House and the Senate, and the president has signed it into law and printed into handbills, then those laws, no, those laws they are trying to consolidate will no longer exist. But whether they brought it together and tried to consolidate them and they try, it did not pass the House, it doesn't impact them because the old law still exists. You can go the if people
that's my default. That's where I differ
yeah,
with you, Councillor Ware.
if you
But Councillor Anthony Jason, why would they not stand, right? Take for instance the let me be very basic.
mhm.
The laws that went before for referendum,
Mhm.
because they were defeated, so does it destroy all those laws that existed? Of course
No,
not.
no, that's this pension law is saying the wisdom of the legislature for which they desire to consolidate these laws is that they are bad, right? If they
No, Councilor, that's not a wisdom. They thought that first they said that everybody making their own law. We want to bring everything together to be in one place, in one book that people can get it.
Mhm.
That's the first wisdom.
and that action was to repeal. That action is a repealing of those existing laws.
Yeah, but that's what they were trying to do. If the law
Right.
had passed, then it will repeal the 2010 Pension Act. But because what they were trying to do did not pass the House and the Senate, those laws remain intact, and people will get a pension. Let me tell you something. The legislature, the House of Representatives did nothing honorable, nothing. I said zero honorable because they know, or they know very well up to today's day that if tomorrow Gray and others are defeated from the House of Representatives, if tomorrow Councilor Vani Sherman, Speaker, what is Speaker of the House, Chambers, if tomorrow the President pro tem, if tomorrow the what you call it, let's declare the whole Senate, all of those guys will benefit from the 2010 law.
And this is what they're going to get, right?
Yeah,
The speaker is going to receive 50% of the salary of the incumbent speaker. So if the budget year goes up and the current speaker now is making
30,000.
20,000, is going to get half of that. The
Correct.
next year, if they make 30,000,
You
you
get
retire, you also get raised.
Mhm.
And they are entitled to personal staff and
Yep.
facilities. I
Mhm.
believe facilities will mean what? Your
Office.
car, your scratch car, your generator. You're still getting that.
Look at government like grew up paying for scratch car for irresponsible people calling themselves senators.
So now, and I believe the House too, they were very dishonest with us
Yeah.
to make it look like that they were doing something for us if they knew that this law existed.
But Mr. Jah, the House and the Senate have never, and the House, the executive branch of government have never been in the interest of the ordinary Liberian people.
But sometimes, Joe, we must look at the issues that are bad, right? If this law that we all are condemning today, the integrated law, is indeed a bad law, and for some reason we have gone back to status quo, as per your analysis of attempt to repeal those laws, it means the House of Representatives, for some reason, have given another idea for these laws to be revisited. So they being the one to put a halt to this law being law, they
Councillor,
consider that being law. So we cannot in totality think that they haven't done anything. I mean, the fact that they
No,
put a
no,
halt to
but
this thing is
can
something that we should hear them for.
Jensen,
I
what was their reason for rejecting it? Their
Not
reason for
the reject-
rejecting it was because Liberians were hearing this about this pension law, most of them for the first time.
correct.
So they cycled the name DeLong, and Representative Safoko even called a press conference and say, hey, see this DeLong man, you said the light up, bar man, look at the bill they passed.
Yeah.
And we rejected it. So the whole thing was just political.
Again, Dennis, you are correct. The House of Representatives decided, particularly the CDC group, decided to politicize the entire thing because they are now complaining because the consolidation. All the Senate were doing they're telling us they were consolidating, moving the law from place to place and putting it one place for it to be. You can obtain it or get it when you wish to get it. That's why they said they were doing, but it did not stop. It did not vitiate the fact that when they retired, they were going to get money. Even if they defeated them at the pool, they will get money. And their wives and their children will continue to get money. They have done nothing reasonable because, in fact, what Gray did was to deceptively on the show tell the Liberian people that this law, there's no other pension law exists except the one that they were passing. That's what Gray said. And has any Liberian heard? I think the press will do the Liberian people justice by going into these laws and discussing it clearly that both the House of Representatives and the Senate, the members are deceptive. They made these laws to be able to benefit. The same with the $30,000 that they were receiving. That when people started to talk, then somebody said, "Oh, I will carry back to my district and we'll put it into the clinic." They had no law that said the $30,000 that they were receiving, they said for less elected engagement. For them, they come back and make report to no one. They know that today there exists a law. If they went to election in 2023, the senators and representatives, the senator particularly that will be defeated, they have something to fall back on. Because there's a 2010 law that says, how much the 2010 law tell them to get? Is it $6,000 that the senator will get for the people that work for him? And he would get 50% of what the senator from his county will be getting. So that law exists.
I think you raised a very good point where political parties are all silent on these matters. Because for me, I feel that all of these laws are being consolidated. If we look at the basis from where the Constitution mandated the legislature pass a national pension scheme, and we have individuals, because in actual sense, the judiciary don't have any authority to pass any pension law or to draft any pension for themselves. If there's any law that is being passed, it must be a consolidated law or there must be a national law that is passed by the national legislature. So for any reason, there are pieces of information out there dealing with pension. If the national legislature herself, even though this consolidated law has failed, but I feel, and this would be my call or the major takeaway from me, that there must be a national pension scheme which has not been done.
Which is good.
So then the national legislature herself must be in the lead, not to do it in a very savage manner. They must be very holistic. They must be able to look at every spectrum of the Liberian society in order to propose a realistic bill. So when someone is saying, well, there's no pension law, for me, I still feel that political parties, like you rightly said, they also need to be involved in these matters because it's about the well-being of Liberia. There's a lady that I know personally, they say, I went to Liberia, my pension is $10. $10. Somebody who worked their whole lifetime for the government of Liberia, the pension, the money they get every month is $10.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shameful thing. They must say, why? Sometimes they go to give her $9. Sometimes it's like they give it discretionarily.
Yeah.
So because why? There's no national pension law that can obligate any succeeding government. If there's a national pension law, any other government they can decide to amend it. All right? But you see pieces of information, I think that's where the problem is. And I think we can call on those political parties, civil society, and even media grouping. Society can be better when everybody gets involved and do what they're supposed to do best.
We should take into consideration who were president in 2010. Well, Mrs. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf.
2023, I was at the legislature, right? As a public, I know. I'm just emphasizing that because there were the whole pension. This law came, it surfaced 2023 at the time John Cocker was speaker. And it was not addressed until the last day when Ellen government has come in. The guys were almost like, what do we do? So, when the legislature is about to adjourn, so all of the ordinary law just kind of put everything on the floor. Everybody just pass it, yeah, yeah, yeah. And this is how some of this thing came about. Albeit that's part of their process. But I think at this time, they need to be very honest with Liberian people and with themselves to pass a national pension scheme for the country that everybody can pick up and know what to do.
The legislature, the House of Representatives, the judiciary, people who work as judges, people who work as associate justices, chief justice, former chief justice, those people don't see the ordinary policeman on the street as someone who should retire and have something to live on. They categorize it. They put it to the status where they, their wives, their children, when they die, their wives, their children, we get, as you mentioned, the woman who getting $10 and can get $9. You think they care? Liberian government officials don't care.
No, that's
and
true.
The people who vote for them should decide to say, look, why are we voting for Councillor Vani Sherman from Cape Mount when he is the major crafter of this kind of law? Why are we voting for what a man from Grand Bassa County, Finley? When Finley was part of this, he was president pro tem before. They set it up not as a national pension scheme. They set it up as a national crooked and scheme to be able to benefit themselves. The vice president, the current vice president who running, is complaining that there exists a 2010 law that why is he being paid $800 a month when he should be getting 50% of the current vice president? Do we know how much your vice president is making now? Do we know?
No.
Do we know how much?
When you ask,
that's a serious issue. Yeah.
Do we know? The other thing
let's look at the again. I want us to stress this because I want our people to see in the 2010 law it says a former president of the republic who has honorably retired to private life and who is not in any way gainfully employed by government shall receive from government a pension equal to 50% of the salary of the incumbent president. In addition, a former president shall be provided a personal staff and facilities for the remainder of his or her life. The amount allowed for this purpose shall not be less than $25,000 US. Okay. And then the proposed one, it says a president of the Republic of Liberia who honorably retires to private life and who is not in any way gainfully employed by government shall receive from the government a pension annuity equal to 50% of his or her last highest gross salary per annum. So the only difference there is get 50% of what you earned before, not the incumbent.
Correct.
That's the only. Then it continues. In addition, he or she shall be entitled to a personal staff and facilities for the remainder of his or her natural life, and the amount allowed for this purpose shall not be more than 75% of his or her annuity. And it should be police. And then if you go down there, you talk about, you should pay the wife, the children, all the pets.
What is interesting about these laws is that our people have little or no idea that they exist. I mean, the market women in selling at red light.
But why? Why is that?
Because the politicians, people who are politicians, who want to be president, who want to be senators, they don't go to the constituency and discuss it. You ever heard one representative go back home and say, when I retire, this is the amount I will get, and these are the style I will get? You will never hear that. Have you ever heard a senator ever say that? You never hear that. Did you hear your current former vice president ever say that? You will never hear that. Whenever the legislature talk about it, it will never be talked about. So it means my friend Tyler will be receiving money equal to what the speaker is receiving right now, 50%.
Even though they call him corruption King Kong, but he has honorably retired.
Correct.
Because
but here's the other question: did he honorably retire? No, he was defeated.
So now and I want us to talk about this, right? Like, who is responsible? are the people, are the citizens asking? How many people now will even talk about this show or will
Right.
even watch it? So if you are interested in garbage, if you are interested in junk, and you are watching junk and filling your mind with junk, and you don't get the real stuff, do you blame the person who has his vested interest to get paid even
Dennis,
when he dies?
Dennis, this is what I think need to be done. I think for people who and it's not a blame on our people because they are close up for information. They do not. The women selling at the red market have no idea. The people at Joquentown market have no idea. The people selling to whatever other one that near the football field, the Anthony Tottenham Stadium, have no idea.
One time.
Have no idea. The teacher association basically trying to find themselves on payroll, so they have no idea. So if Liberian, this is part of the civic education for civic education. If Liberian can contribute to show like this, to be able to have more than one radio station, if they don't black it politically now, have more than one radio station to be able to carry the discussion on this, because right now everybody in Liberia believe the House of Representatives have done very well. Our children then voted to stop the law. That's what they know. But they did not know that, or they do not know that, under Mrs. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, there exists a law that allow for this amount of money, and people are receiving the law, are receiving the money. Forget about the former government official. Has Mr. Cummings talked about it? No. Has Councilor Gwangwa talked about it? No. Has what the other one that said he want to be president? All of them that are running outside, they call themselves opposition, no opposition. Can they talk about it? No. Do they ever discuss the budget of Liberia and say how grossly violative it is to the right of the Liberian people? Do they talk about $200,000 going to Nima County? Councilor Gwangwa from Nima County. Has he ever told the people in Nima County that you are getting $200,000 every year? That's how the budget is. But you know what they will say? They will say, when you put me there, I will change it. You can't talk about it now. When you get there, you will change it. You will never change it. They will get retired the same way. Who knows? Maybe the people who were ministers before in the Ellen government that left, they are retired. Are they receiving money?
Very likely.
Do you know that when the Ellen government was leaving, there were government vehicles that would cost about $50,000 was sold to people for $1,000 by GSA?
No.
All these people.
But I think society, there are segments, or there are, you don't blame the ordinary people, because some people, for some reason you can't blame them, right? They don't know. But there are major, segment of society that people should always blame, like our very media grouping. These people who call themselves managing editors or managing directors of media institutions, they themselves should not be begging for crumbs. They should be interested in giving factual information to Liberians. Civil society organizations, if they need be all of these different actors, they need to always look at these pieces of document that are considered by the national legislature and see whether they can act on them. If they find out that, for example, if somebody do understand the law, come to someone, okay, Councilor Joe, we want you to give us your honest opinion on this law. Let's see what is it like. Political parties, the executive committees of these different political parties must take interest in these matters and discuss them and be able to say, look, we will take this matter before the Supreme Court and ask the Supreme Court for interpretation. But everybody just become quiet and these things are happening. Liberia keep being what it is, and we always soon fade and live beyond a broken society. And I don't think that's the way, those who in government, those who in the different organizations should always, treat the country.
Councilor, what Mrs. Sirleaf did.
Councilor Joe, hold on. If you want to join the conversation, the number is 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. So call that number on your screen also in the ticker, and be a part of the conversation. Also, we want to inform you that tomorrow on Tough Talking Thursday, we are still on our series, The Road to Elections 2023. So what you do is we're going to be talking about Mr. Alex coming. He's just got another endorsement from Mr. Louis Brown. Earlier, he got one from Dr. Toga McIntosh Gilway. Also, Prince Johnson, Senator Prince Johnson, have made some revelation about saying some things about receiving money from Mr. Cummins. Also, Councillor Gonglo got the LPP nomination. Can LPP really take Councillor Gonglo to the presidency? Lumel Laureate Lehman Bowie is crying that unless all the opposition or the 4-me opposition come together, President Weah is going to beat them so bad. Is she correct? We're going to talk about that tomorrow on Tough Talking Thursday. You don't want to miss that. Councilor, and your thought, and we're going to bring in our first caller.
Yeah, I was saying that if you just went back to the budget, which no opposition political party wants to discuss, no matter how they call themselves justice figure, when Mrs. Sally was in power, they look at the salary of the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs. Compare the last salary that the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs had under Mrs. Sally to the current salary, which I think is about $20 million for the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs. The budget itself has been used or is used as a means to divide out money to top government officials. And it's a secret that no political party will discuss it, because when you get there as a political party, you intend to either increase the amount that there and enjoy it. It is not meant for the Liberian people. So this kind of show, as I will let you go, is that it should be, conducted consistently so that our people maybe find money to pay other stations to carry it, because our people need to know that apart from the law that the House of Representatives voted against, there exists a law that when they are defeated, this coming 2023, they will get their pension. And you say, who control the pension? I understand the finance minister issued a check to all those who are pensioned.
And here's the law you're talking about. That's the pension law, non-contributory pension scheme.
Yeah, the big in the non-contributory mean they will not pay anything. They get to your money and carry it. That's all they would do.
No, because they are work, right? They are work for you, passing 2 days a week. Agriculture break 30,000. Let's bring in our first caller here. First caller is Christopher Tobasi. Chris, you are live. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, my brother-in-law and my uncle Dennis. Look, like I always told you, the damage have already been done from 1822. From when this country was founded. Mm-hmm. The Americans did not teach the American Liberians, how to be responsible handler of power.
You're talking about 200 years ago. You're talking about 200 years ago.
But then we got to visit the past to face the future. And if we don't go back to visit the past, we cannot face this thing. And the people fail to educate our people, to teach them how to be responsible handler of power. You cannot have a country since it was founded that have not manufactured anything, that have not invented anything. Even packaging and labeling is a problem. No refinery, no no plane, light plane or whatever. Then we got a problem, and it's bigger than. I want to say thank you to our educator, counselors, lawyers in studio, right, for helping to make us smarter. But we got a big problem. So lawmaker got to step forward.
Right. So Chris.
Step forward and pull meaningful bill on the table, bill that will be in the interest of the masses. So that will say, let us reduce, let us stop this thing.
Mr. Tobasi,
so that the opposition can vote against these things.
They will vote against it.
Mr. Tobasi, this thing you say started 200 years ago. So how do we correct it now? What can we do today?
We gotta go education and awareness. We gotta go teach. Journalists gotta ask meaningful questions. The journalists in Liberia are not asking, not even help. You know, you guys are the watchdogs. The journalists, you guys are the gatekeepers. You guys gotta be between we and the government. And the journalists in Liberia are not helping to even ask the meaningful questions. You know, education and awareness. That's the only thing that's going to solve this problem. I don't care what feelings get hurt, but I'm saying that CDC lawmakers got to put meaningful bills that will be in the interest of the people. Let the opposition vote against it. Let the opposition lawmaker vote against these things. But CDC lawmakers cannot be taking these kind of numbers and they come here and say, oh, something different. No. You got to say, let us put meaningful things on the table. Let the opposition vote against it, but they are not helping.
Thank you.
And I hold them responsible as well. Thank you, guys, and thank you for the education. We'll be listening and following.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to add, the press people in Liberia are struggling. And what did Mrs. Lee do to the press when she came to power less than 1 year? She gave them $100,000. In other words, you get my money, you eat my money, you need to keep quiet. And the press union was fighting to get the money. You got the money. What did Mrs. Selly do to what they call key, or people that call themselves key newspapers in Liberia? Put the managing director and publishers on gave them ticket to fly with her. Anywhere she went. Particularly coming to America. I know one newspaper who has a record coming here almost all the time with Mrs. Salif. So when you come into America with Mrs. Salif, your hotel bill is paid, or even with President Weah, or the late Sawyer, President Sawyer, interim President Sawyer, or any other people who are in top position. The people in government know how to divide up corruption for the benefit of themselves. Very few press people can survive to even pay their rent in Monrovia. So what they do, they wait for government. They wait for government to put in some of them on payroll. And so why would they? You, Mr. John here can talk because you're in America. You can work and make honest money. But you are in Liberia, you can't make 150, and then some government officials say you my press man. You must be published in my special publication. We get $500 for you every month. You will question it. It is the corruption of enslavement. That's what they have done to our country. That's why even people will see something is white, they will say it black. The press people, if you have money, you can pay for the press to write for you. They cannot say anything.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's wrap it up. We have 5 minutes. Let's conclude on this. One of the questions I wanted to ask you is this law. Almost every time we make a law, we say 25,000 United States dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would do that? Why is it not in our own local currency?
Oh, because let me go back. There's funny situation. There's Councilor Sherman in the Senate. When you're actively practicing law, he argued before the Supreme Court. And there's an opinion that one Liberian dollar equal to one American dollar. He represented one of the banks. And the teller, I think one of the depositors were complaining that the bank took his US dollars. But to answer your question, the Liberian authority and the Liberian people recognize US dollar as above any other thing. The only reason why they printing Liberian dollar is that they will take the US and give the Liberian to the Liberian people who they consider to have no worth, to have no value. So you see in the law, they are putting US dollar because they will demand when they retire. that the Liberian government, when the taxes are paid, don't pay them in Liberian dollars, because Liberian dollars ain't worth anything. They can't fly with Liberian dollars to go to Nigeria. They need to pay for air ticket in US dollars. They cannot pay Liberian dollars to go to attend medical services in India, because they got to pay the Indian in US dollars. In other words, there is a separation of citizenship. There are people who are citizens, but less than the other citizens who are in government. So that's why you see the law, they put US dollars. They want it to be clear. The council chairman who were arguing one US dollars equal to one Liberian dollar, you think he will go accept US dollar, Liberian dollars as pension? No, he will not.
All right. Let's conclude. So we talk about this law, 2010, and we also know that there was an integrated pension scheme proposed by the Senate but rejected by the House, and the House went on. Some members of the House went on a victory lap, say, see what we've done. And one of the changes to the new law they were proposing was to define these things. We saw that between 2010 and the one being proposed, there is not a significant change.
No.
It's all the same. So we went through a couple of them, like the Speaker, the President, and members of the Senate and House. And this was what was done, right? After this, they highlighted the law, say, hey, see the light. So we believe this was deceptive as well. Let's conclude tonight on and the question I want to end with is why do we have this? First, what pension aid, what we see that is wrong with the pension system that we're talking about, why we have this sort of misinformation that people saw this and thought it was a new law, and there was an outcry, and the House seized upon that to make themselves to look good. And yet and still, there's still not enough information in the public domain to let people know that, hey, these people are eating your lunch. Let's conclude, draw down the curtains, and you can go ahead, Councillor Joey, and then Anthony Jenkins.
Dennis, thank you for inviting us. I would think that what have been passed, or what we have on our books is not pension, is compensation for helping to steal your money when I was senator or when they were House of Representative members. Because everything in it is about retiring themselves handsomely. And all the Liberian people need to do is not run behind the political party, whether opposition or ruling party, and thinking that they have their interests. No, they do not. If the opposition cannot discuss what the quote unquote, what the existing law, the 2010 law, and the impact on Liberia lack of development, don't vote for them. If the representatives and senators in the House, whether CDC, Unity Party, or whosoever they are, vote for people who will talk about development in the country, not people who will retire. They will retire and continue to receive 50% of what the president makes, 50% of what the speaker makes, 50% of what the current president pro tem makes. All of these are scheme of deception to ensure that Liberia remain as poor. I read somebody, as I close, I read one of the very Liberian lady who I think she got a PhD in education, and she wrote, she said, education in Liberia is a tool to enslave Liberians, as it is by now. What she was saying that don't educate the people. She's saying that the past government and government to come have it as a plan not to educate the people so that they can continue to enslave them. And when you have people in the market only concerned about the market, you can be president easily. And you can still, nothing will be done. Liberian people do not know that the law exists and that people getting pension right now. I know all the speakers, my friends know will be getting his own retirement. I know Tyler is getting his own retirement based upon the 2010 law. I know the one who was just elected from my Give County, who is now Senator Nukwe. He was Speaker too. So he's entitled to his retirement. So until the Liberian people vote these people out, and they re-examine the political parties that are coming before them and saying, you know, I am the justice and accountability man, when they are not, because they're waiting for the time. If you don't vote for them, they will not steal from you.
Thank you. Attorney Jensen.
The Constitution has spoken, and what the Constitution has mandated is that the national legislature has the power to, provide pension scheme for the nation. And what we're seeing here, we do not think those instruments are in compliance with the Constitution, Article 34. Okay, so when you read the law and you act contrary, then there are issues. And when there are issues, there are segments of society, those people must be able to challenge some of these instruments to ensure that Liberia get on better footing. So pension scheme is or should be a long-term way of saving some portion, some percentage of money you work for a long period of time, so that when you get old, those pieces of those money that you save over the time being can be of benefit to you. So to say a non-contributory pension scheme, we think is because the lawmakers themselves don't want to pay towards their national pension. So at this time and Liberia's own situation, people should be thinking how to build the country and not to take away from the country. It's not a safe way to prepare generation. People sacrifice. So on this pension discussion, I want to call on members of the legislature, and I still feel that there are few in there who can make the difference. And it's not to say it and say we are here to badmouth everybody, but there's a need for a national pension scheme. If you haven't done that, you must begin to think in those directions. The Constitution says you must enact a piece of law that will address pension scheme, not what we're seeing around. So while it is true those pieces of information are out there, there's still a need to address these matters, not for this period, not for lawmakers. In fact, when the pension scheme is developed by the current legislature, they should not be beneficiary.
You're joking.
So it means then you are working to help a country. You are sacrificing for a nation. Like even when you are there tomorrow, people can say, "Oh, Representative A, oh, Senator did that." That's the kind of society we want to see. So again, we want to say thank you, and that's how we try to, wrap up on our end. There's a need for a national pension scheme. Until then,
Thank you. Before I let you go, one more question here is: this pension scheme came into effect, let's say 2003, or even if it came into effect today, will people who retire before it came into effect would they benefit?
No, the law is not retroactive. So if you pass a piece of law now, it should affect future generations. It should affect people who the law will affect people, ahead, not behind, not like for example, if you pass a piece of law now, it should not Alex Tyler being a former speaker should not be a beneficiary of the law. So in those kind of a situation, it's a difficult thing because even the current speaker, would not want his colleague to suffer. And the law shouldn't be that way. The law should not be retroactive, when there is a holistic national pension scheme. Because in actuality, if you really look at pension scheme, national pension scheme, those who gone, they will not be contributors to their pension. So why should they benefit? If we're not telling people, say, okay, there's a cake sitting somewhere, come and get your own. Because there must be a holistic, honest pension scheme where you have a benefit of honest working people who work honestly and save some of their money. These people would have been gone. You don't focus on them.
Right.
Those are the existing ones.
So, Councillor Joe, the same question, but on top of that, I want to ask about, because the one that got your man Brownie Samuka in trouble. So, if there existed all these pension laws and pension scheme since 2020, 2003, what the military was doing, the fund that got Samuka in trouble, was it something different or it was in addition?
It was in addition. In fact, I think the alien government said that, and Mr. Brandon Samuka Minister Samuka would have been involved, that the military people needed to retire, and from their own end, they will put some money somewhere, so when they retire, they will also get it from what they have paid in. Mind you, listen, they were asking the military people to pay in, but the senators would not pay in. Yeah. And I'm sure Mr. Brandon Samuka, even though he did not go in the Senate, he is getting his retirement from being former Minister of Defense. Every one of them that work in government that impacted by the 2010 law are deceptive to the people of Liberia. They are not telling the people of Liberia. And this kind of show will be able to help our people to understand that this is why your children are selling cold water on the street. This is why you got 4 children, you rather send 1 to school in the morning, the other 3 to go sell cassava and coconut.
And those of us born in the interior, one supposed to be on a farm, you alternate the school days.
Oh, yeah.
So because the birds, when the time to watch the birds is very tough, so you have to alternate.
Oh, yeah.
One more question from our Jimmy here. According to Senator Dillon, the lower house rejected the bill because the former law was more favorable to the old timers. Well, we see, want to know what you say. Jimmy also think that the lawmakers believe they are above the law.
Of course, it's not only a lawmaker. There is an opinion written by the Supreme Court that says you cannot question the president for a crime that he or she committed when she was in office. So those people, everyone who becomes senator, representative, president of the Republic of Liberia, vice president of the Republic of Liberia, every other ministers and whosoever, they all consider themselves above the law. Have you seen any minister being prosecuted to be convicted except for Brandon Samuka that were asked to go join CDC and he said no?
Even my own Senator TJ.
Yeah.
He was the LACC booked him, but he's above the law.
Yeah, the court in Maryland in Riverside convicted him. But what did he do? Prior to the conviction, he ran to CDC and became a member. And so how you go prosecute a guy who has said, I won't be part of this thing, you'll forget about me.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. We want to thank our viewers for always watching Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Until then, keep watching us. Thursday is Tough Talking Thursday. Friday is the Literary Hour. It's right here, Literary Hour, every Friday. And every Tuesday, we have Abby Tyler's Healthy Living. So you talk about health, talk about literature, you talk about history, it's every Saturday. Business, finance, and economics every Saturday, 3 p.m. We cover it all. Keep it here at Focus on Liberia. Until then, we close with our song that says, we are all Liberians. Have a good night and God bless.
Good night.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.